"Sorry, this table is for family only," my brother sneered, pointing to a rickety chair by the restroom. The entire room burst into laughter as I sat alone. Then the waiter brought a $7,500 0-cents bill and looked at me. I smiled and said, "Not my table." I stood frozen, the $200 0-cents bottle of Napa Valley Cabernet slipping in my sweaty palm, as my brother Ryan's voice cut through the hum of the string quartet. "Sorry, Ethan," he said, his smirk sharp enough to draw blood. "This table's family only." He pointed to a wobbly, folding chair shoved against the restroom door, its chipped paint screaming neglect. The Skyline Loft, Portland's swankiest rooftop venue, erupted in laughter. Cruel, jagged, like glass shattering in my chest. 50 pairs of eyes, glittering under chandeliers, pinned me in place. My mother, Patricia, looked away, her pearls catching the light. My father, Gerald, let out a nervous chuckle, swirling his bourbon. And me? I was Ethan Caldwell, the 36-year-old ER nurse who'd saved lives in chaos, but couldn't save himself from this. I walked to that chair, each step heavier than the last, sat down and felt the world tilt. The stench of bleach from the restroom stung my nose, and in that moment I wondered, how did I end up here, the family's invisible man, again? Portland's skyline glittered beyond the loft floor-to-ceiling windows, the Willamette River shimmering under a September dusk in 2025. The air was crisp, carrying the faint tang of rain and coffee, a Portland staple. The Skyline Loft was the kind of place where tech bros and old money types mingled, sipping overpriced cocktails and pretending they'd earned every dime. Tonight, it was the stage for my brother Ryan's engagement party to Lauren Whitaker, the polished daughter of a retired judge. My parents, Patricia and Gerald, owners of a chain of gastropubs called Hop and Hearth, had orchestrated this night to flex their status. They were Portland's picture-perfect power couple, all smiles and Instagram filters. But I knew the truth. Their empire was built on charm, debt, and my willingness to play cleanup crew. I'd always been the reliable one, the sibling who showed up, paid up, and shut up. At 36, I was an ER nurse at Providence St. Vincent, pulling 12-hour shifts, dodging blood and panic while my family played pretend. Ryan, 2 years older, was the golden boy, a real estate mogul who'd turned a string of lucky flips into a penthouse lifestyle. Charismatic, reckless, and always dodging consequences, he had our parents wrapped around his finger. Me? I was the guy who paid for their second car, covered Dad's medical bills when his gastropub expansion tanked, and never missed a birthday text. But no matter how much I gave, I was never family. Not the way Ryan was. I was the spare tire, useful, but forgotten until the blowout. The night started with a call from Mom 3 weeks earlier. "Ethan, darling," she'd cooed, her voice thick with that honeyed manipulation I'd learned to dread. "We're throwing Ryan and Lauren an engagement party at the Skyline Loft. It's going to be the event of the season. Can you make it?" I was bone-tired, fresh off a double shift, but I said yes. Then came the kicker. "Oh, and could you handle the deposit? Just $2,000, 0 cents. To hold the space, we'll pay you back. Prom." I should have known "pay you back" was code for "you're screwed," but I wired the money anyway. It was Ryan's night, and some naive part of me thought maybe, just maybe, I'd finally feel like I belonged. I showed up at 7:00 p.m. sharp, my charcoal suit pressed, my tie knotted just right. The Cabernet was my peace offering, a gesture to prove I wasn't the uptight nurse they always teased me for being. The loft was a vision. Chandeliers casting golden light, orchids spilling over tables, a string quartet weaving Vivaldi into the air. 50 guests? Ryan's real estate cronies, Lauren's high society family, and our parents' gastropub investors, clinked glasses of craft gin and artisanal stout. I scanned the room for my seat, expecting a place at the main table. That's when Ryan spotted me. His eyes glinted, like a shark smelling chum. "Yo, Ethan!" he called, loud enough to turn heads. "Glad you made it, bro." Then he pointed to that damn chair by the restroom. "Family only at this table." "It's your spot." The laughter hit like a freight train. It wasn't just a chuckle, it was a roar, the kind that makes your ears burn and your throat tighten. Lauren's mother, Diane, a polished woman in a silk dress, shifted uncomfortably but said nothing. Dad raised his glass as if toasting the joke. Mom's gaze flicked to the floor, her signature avoidance tactic. I stood there, the Cabernet bottle heavy as a brick, my heart pounding like I was coding a patient. I could have walked out. I could have tossed the wine at Ryan's smug face. But instead, I walked to the chair. The legs wobbled as I sat. The restroom door creaked open, blasting me with bleach fumes. I set the bottle on the floor, my hands shaking, and told myself to breathe. Just get through it, Ethan. You always do. For 2 hours, I was a ghost. The quartet played on. Guests toasted Ryan and Lauren, their speeches dripping with cliches about love and legacy. Mom teared up when Lauren called her the mom I never had. Dad clapped Ryan's shoulder, boasting about his empire. No one looked my way, not once. The waiter, a kid barely out of college, approached with a pitying frown. "You with the party, sir?" he asked, voice low. I nodded. He handed me a glass of tap water, no ice, and scurried off. I didn't touch it. I just sat, watching my family perform their perfect little play while I was relegated to the wings, next to a literal toilet. The tension in my chest grew, a knot of anger and shame I'd carried for years. Growing up, Ryan was the star, captain of the high school lacrosse team, prom king, the guy who crashed Dad's vintage Mustang and still got a pat on the back. I was the kid who studied, worked weekends at a diner to save for college, and never asked for a dime. When Dad's gastropub chain hit a rough patch in 2019, I co-signed a loan to keep them afloat. When Mom needed surgery last year, I covered the co-pays. But Ryan? He'd breeze in with a Rolex and a sob story, and they'd fawn over him like he'd cured cancer. I told myself it didn't matter. I told myself I was fine being the steady one, the one who didn't need the spotlight. But sitting by that restroom, the truth clawed at me. I wasn't fine. I was invisible. Then came the bill. The waiter, now visibly nervous, approached the main table with a leather folder. He paused, glanced at his tablet, and then, God help me, walked straight to me. "Sir," he said, voice barely above a whisper, "the card on file is yours. The total's $7,500.00. Should I run it?" The room went quiet, the quartet's notes fading to a hum. Every eye turned to me. Ryan leaned back in his chair, smirking like he'd already won. "Yeah, Ethan's got it," he said, loud and casual. "Right, bro?" Lauren's father, Robert, a retired judge with a face like carved granite, raised an eyebrow. Mom's smile tightened. Dad coughed into his bourbon. I felt the air shift, like the moment before a storm breaks. My pulse thundered, but my voice, when it came, was calm, cold, deliberate. "Not my table," I said, locking eyes with Ryan. "I was told I'm not family. Let the family handle it." The silence was deafening, sharper than the laughter had been. Ryan's smirk faltered, his face flushing red. Mom gasped, her hand flying to her pearls. Diane whispered something to Robert, who leaned forward, his gaze piercing Ryan like a gavel. The waiter stood frozen, clutching the folder like it might explode. I stood, slow and steady, grabbing my coat. Ryan's voice cracked through the silence. "You're making a scene, Ethan. Chill out, man." I turned, my eyes meeting his. "No, Ryan," I said, my voice low but carrying to every corner of the room. "You made the scene when you sat me by the toilet. I'm just done paying for your show." I walked to the glass elevator, the weight of 50 stairs on my back. The doors slid shut, and as the city lights blurred below, I felt something shift inside me. Not relief, not yet, but a spark of something dangerous, something alive. I was done. Outside, the Portland night hit me like a slap. Cold, damp, the kind of rain that soaks through your soul. I loosened my tie, the Cabernet still in my hand, unopened, like a relic of my stupidity. I walked to my beat-up Subaru, parked in a lot that charged $20.00 an hour because, of course, even the parking was a ripoff. My phone buzzed as I slid into the driver's seat. A text from Ryan. "Dude, seriously, you couldn't just pay and talk later? You embarrassed us in front of Lauren's whole family." I stared at it, my thumb hovering over the reply button. Then another text, from Mom. Ethan, that was uncalled for. You know how important tonight was. Call me. I tossed the phone onto the passenger seat. They didn't get it. They never would. I started the car, the engine sputtering in the rain. That's when I noticed it. A black SUV idling across the lot. Its headlights off, but its engine running. My stomach twisted. I'd seen enough true crime docs to know this wasn't random. I pulled out slowly, watching the rearview mirror. The SUV followed, keeping its distance, but matching my turns through Portland's slick streets. My heart hammered, the adrenaline sharper than any ER shift. I took a detour toward a police station on Burnside, my hands gripping the wheel. The SUV peeled off just as I pulled into the station's lot, its taillights vanishing into the rain. I sat there, breathing hard, wondering if I'd imagined it. But the chill in my bones said otherwise. Back at my apartment, a cramped one-bedroom in southeast Portland, I locked the door and double-checked the deadbolt. The place was sparse, a second-hand couch, a coffee table littered with medical journals, a fridge with more takeout containers than groceries. I set the Cabernet on the counter, its label mocking me. My phone buzzed again, an unknown number this time. The text read, "Accidents happen in ERs, Ethan. Step carefully." My blood ran cold. I dealt with combative patients, gang threats, even a scalpel waved in my face during a shift. But this was personal. Someone, Ryan, one of his shady real estate buddies, was coming for me. The next morning, my hospital supervisor, Dr. Kessler, called me into her office before my shift. "Ethan," she said, her voice clipped, "we received an anonymous complaint. Someone claims you've been pocketing painkillers from the med cart." I nearly laughed. The accusation was so absurd. "That's insane," I said, my voice steady despite the panic rising in my chest. "I've never touched a pill that wasn't prescribed. I've never touched a pill. What? I've never touched a pill that wasn't prescribed." Kessler sighed, her eyes tired. "I believe you, but we have to investigate. You're on desk duty until we clear this up. Could mean suspension if we don't." Suspension. The word hit like a punch. My nursing license, my livelihood, everything I'd built, gone, unless I could prove my innocence. That night I came home to find my apartment trashed. Drawers yanked open, books spilled across the floor, my work ID and a family photo gone. The photo was old, from a rare Christmas when Ryan and I were kids, smiling like we still believed in each other. On the back, a handwritten note I'd never noticed before. "Keep this safe. Don't trust them." My mother's handwriting. My head spun. What the hell was she hiding? And why take it now? The next blow came via a notification on my phone. A local gossip blog, Portland Pulse, had posted a story. ER nurse sabotages brother's engagement in jealous rage. The article painted me as a bitter loner who'd stormed out of Ryan's party to spite him. It quoted sources close to the family saying I'd always resented Ryan's success. My coworkers started giving me side eye. Neighbors whispered in the hallway. I called a friend from nursing school, Tara, who'd always been straight with me. "Ethan, people are talking," she said. "Half think you're a hero for standing up to your jerk brother. The other half think you're unhinged. This is blowing up." The city split like a fault line. On X, hashtags like Team Ethan and Ryan got served trended alongside Ethan the Envious. Ryan's real estate cronies flooded the comments, calling me a snowflake who couldn't take a joke. But others, nurses, baristas, regular folks who knew what it was like to be the family's punching bag, rallied behind me. "Screw the rich brother," one post read. "Ethan's the real M." Felt good, but it didn't erase the dread. Someone was out to ruin me, and they weren't stopping at a blog post. Then Lauren emailed me, her subject line chilling, "We need to talk." I hesitated, my finger hovering over the delete button. When I opened it, her words hit like a defibrillator. "Ethan, I'm so sorry. I didn't see how they treated you until it was too late. Dad's furious, not just about the bill but the principle. He's pulling his investments from your parents' gastropubs. I'm rethinking everything with Ryan. Did you know? He's been hiding money troubles. The party wasn't even his idea. He pushed your mom to make it bigger to impress my dad. I called the restaurant. You paid for everything. The deposit, the flowers, even the extra bar tab. I'm calling off the wedding. I reread it, stunned. Lauren, the poised princess, was bailing, and Ryan's empire was cracking. The fallout spread like wildfire. Robert, Lauren's father, wasn't just any retired judge. He was a Portland legend with deep pockets and deeper grudges. He'd bankrolled half of Hop and Hart's expansion, and now he was done. My parents' gastropubs faced closure if he pulled out. Ryan's real estate deals tanked as clients jumped ship, spooked by the drama. My phone lit up with texts from Mom. "Ethan, you've ruined us. Fix this. Ryan's were uglier? You jealous little shit? You're dead to me." I didn't reply. But Susan, my aunt who owned a vineyard in Willamette Valley, called me out of the blue. "Ethan," she said, her voice like steel, "you finally shook their house of cards. About damn time." I sat on my couch, staring at the empty space where the family photo used to be. That note, "Don't trust them," burned in my mind. What did Mom know? Was it about Ryan's deals, Dad's debts, or something worse? And who was behind the threats? The SUV, the hospital complaint, the break-in. My life, once a steady rhythm of shifts and sacrifice, was now a minefield. I'd stood up to my family, but at what cost? The city was watching, picking sides, and I was caught in the crossfire. One thing was clear, I wasn't sitting by the restroom anymore. But where I'd end up, hero, villain, or something else entirely, was anyone's guess. The rain hadn't stopped in Portland, and neither had the chaos. It was a week after the engagement party disaster at the Skyline Loft, and my one-bedroom apartment felt more like a bunker than a home. The stolen family photo with Mom's cryptic note, "Don't trust them," haunted me like a ghost. I stood on my balcony, the city's neon lights blurred by the drizzle, clutching a chipped coffee mug. My phone buzzed relentlessly, missed calls from Mom, a venomous text from Ryan, and that chilling message from an unknown number. "Accidents happen in ERs, Ethan. Step carefully." I was Ethan Caldwell, a 36-year-old ER nurse who'd spent years stitching up my family's messes, only to be sat by a restroom and handed a $7,500 0-cents bill. I'd said no, walked away, and now the world was splitting apart. Portland's gossip blogs, my hospital job, my own sanity. I wasn't just fighting my family anymore. Something darker was closing in, and I could feel its weight. The week had been a blur of fallout. Lauren Whitaker, my brother Ryan's fiancée, had called off their engagement and fled to her parents' sprawling estate in Lake Oswego, leaving Ryan's penthouse life in shambles. Her father, Robert, a retired judge with a reputation for zero tolerance, was pulling his investments from my parents' gastropub chain, Hop and Hearth, threatening to tank their empire. Portland's social media was a battlefield. Team Ethan trended with nurses and baristas cheering me for standing up to Ryan's cruelty, while Ethan the Envious painted me as a jealous loner, fueled by Ryan's real estate cronies. My hospital supervisor had sidelined me to desk duty over an anonymous complaint accusing me of stealing painkillers, a lie that could cost me my nursing license. And then there was the break-in at my apartment. My work ID and that mysterious photo gone, leaving me with more questions than answers. I sipped my coffee, cold now, and checked my phone again. A voicemail from Mom, her voice trembling with that familiar mix of guilt and manipulation. "Ethan, you've torn this family apart. Ryan's a mess, the Whitakers won't talk to us, and your father's blood pressure is through the roof. Please, fix this." I deleted it without replying. Then came an email from Lauren, sent at 2 a.m., her words raw and urgent. "Ethan, I didn't see it before. The lies, the entitlement. Ryan's been hiding money troubles. The engagement party was a stunt to impress my dad, and you paid for it all. I'm done with him. But there's more. His business deals don't add up. Be careful." My pulse quickened. Ryan, the golden boy real estate mogul, was drowning in debt? And what did "be careful" mean? I was about to call Lauren back when my phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. "Check your mailbox. You'll want to see this." My heart sank. I grabbed my jacket, the rain soaking through as I jogged to the rusty mailbox outside my building. Inside was a plain manila envelope, no address, no stamp. I tore it open, my hands shaking. A single photo slid out, Not the stolen family picture, but a grainy shot of me leaving the hospital after a night shift. Timestamp 2 days ago. Scrawled on the back in Sharpie. We know where you work. I stood there. Rain dripping down my neck, the city's hum fading to a dull roar. Someone was watching me. This wasn't just Ryan's tantrum anymore. This was a threat. Back inside, I locked the door, double-checked the deadbolt, and spread the photo on my kitchen counter next to the unopened Cabernet from the party. My mind raced. The threatening text had traced to a burner phone linked to Ryan's business partner, Vince Caruso, a slick guy with a reputation for cutting corners. Was he behind the photo too? And what about Mom's note? Don't trust them. Did it mean Ryan? Dad? Someone else? I needed answers, but the hospital investigation was closing in and I couldn't afford to lose focus. I called Tara, my friend from nursing school, who'd been following the social media storm. Ethan, this is getting nuts, she said, her voice low. The blogs are saying you're unstable, but half the hospital's got your back. They know you're not stealing drugs, but someone's pushing this hard, someone with pull. I hung up, my head spinning. That afternoon I drove to the hospital for a meeting with Dr. Kessler. The rain had turned to a steady downpour, Portland's streets slick and gray. As I merged onto I-5, I noticed it again, the black SUV from the night of the party, tailing me 3 cars back. My knuckles whitened on the wheel. I took a sharp exit toward downtown, weaving through traffic. The SUV followed, closer now, its tinted windows hiding whoever was inside. My heart pounded like I was running a code in the ER. I pulled into a crowded Starbucks lot, the SUV slowing but not stopping, cruising past like a shark circling prey. I waited, my breath shallow, until it was gone. This wasn't paranoia. Someone wanted me scared. At the hospital, Dr. Kessler's office felt like a courtroom. Ethan, she said, her tone clipped. The complaint's escalating. Whoever filed it sent security footage. Edited. Grainy, but it shows you near the med cart at odd hours. I leaned forward, my voice steady despite the panic. I'm an ER nurse, Dr. Kessler. I'm always near the med cart. That footage is manipulated. She sighed, rubbing her temples. I want to believe you, but the board's breathing down my neck. You're on leave until we sort this out. One wrong move, and your license is gone. I left her office. The hospital's fluorescent lights buzzing like a warning. My career, the one thing I'd built, without my family's help, was slipping away. That night, I got a call from my Aunt Susan, the no-nonsense vineyard owner who'd always seen through my family's facade. Ethan, she said, her voice warm but firm, you shook their perfect little world and they're scrambling. I'm proud of you. I managed a weak smile. Thanks, Susan. But it's getting ugly. Threats, break-ins, lies about my job. She paused, her tone darkening. Listen, kid, your parents leaned on you too long. And Ryan's a leech. But there's more to this. That photo you lost? Your mom wrote that note years ago. She was scared of something, or someone. Dig into it, but watch your back. I hung up, her words echoing. Scared of what? I pulled out my laptop and started searching Ryan's business. Caldwell Properties. Public records showed liens, unpaid contractors, and a string of lawsuits. Lauren was right. Ryan was in deep. The next morning, I found another envelope taped to my apartment door. This one held a USB drive and a note. Play this, you'll understand. My hands trembled as I plugged it into my laptop. It was an audio file, muffled but clear enough. Ryan's voice, tense, talking to Vince Caruso. The Whitaker deal's falling apart, Ryan said. If Robert pulls out, we're done. You need to handle Ethan. Make it look like an accident. Vince's voice cold. I've got people. It'll cost, but it's clean. The recording cut off. My stomach churned. My own brother was plotting against me. Not just to ruin me, but to erase me. I called Lauren, my voice shaking. Ethan, she said, her tone urgent. I found emails on Ryan's laptop. He's been funneling money through shell companies to hide losses. My dad's digging into it. He thinks it's fraud, but Ryan knows I talked to you. He's furious. I told her about the recording, the SUV, the photo. Get out of Portland, she said. Just for a few days. This is bigger than you think, but running wasn't my style. I'd spent my life fixing their messes. This time, I was fighting back. The city's divide grew sharper. At a local diner, I overheard regulars debating my story. "Ethan's a hero," a barista said, pouring my coffee. "Stood up to his rich-ass brother." But a guy in a suit scoffed. "He's a crybaby, can't take a joke." The gossip blog Portland Pulse posted a follow-up. "Ernest's meltdown, jealousy or justice?" They'd gotten hold of hospital records, leaked, no doubt. Hinting at my unstable behavior, my coworkers started texting, "Hang in there, Ethan, we know it's BS." But the pressure was suffocating. I couldn't go to work, couldn't trust my neighbors, couldn't even walk to my car without checking for that SUV. Then came the next blow. I got a call from the hospital's legal team. "Mr. Caldwell," the lawyer said, "we've received a second complaint. A patient claims you mishandled their care, leading to a near-fatal overdose. We're suspending you effective immediately." I slammed my fist on the counter. "That's a lie. Check the charts. I wasn't even on shift for that patient." But the damage was done. My license, my reputation, everything I'd worked for was unraveling. I knew Ryan was behind it, or Vince. They were hitting me where it hurt most. I drove to Susan's vineyard in Willamette Valley, needing air, needing answers. The rolling hills, heavy with grapevines, felt like a sanctuary. Susan poured me a glass of Pinot Noir, her eyes sharp. "Ethan, your mom's been calling me, begging me to talk sense into you. She's terrified of losing the gastropubs. But that note, she wrote it when you were kids. I think it's about your dad's old business partner, a guy named Frank Russo. He vanished after a deal went south, and your mom always acted like he was dangerous. I told her about the recording, the threats." Her face hardened. "That's not just Ryan being a prick, that's criminal. You need to go to the police." I hesitated. Going to the cops meant escalating everything, turning a family feud into a legal war. But then I remembered the chair by the restroom, Ryan's smirk, Mom's silence. I was done being their scapegoat. Back in Portland, I met with a detective, handing over the USB and the threatening photo. "This is serious, Mr. Caldwell," she said, her voice calm but firm. "We'll trace the burner phone and look into Caruso. But you need protection. Stay low." I nodded. But low wasn't an option. Not anymore. That night I started a blog, Nurse's Notes, pouring out the truth, the party, the humiliation, the threats. I wrote about the ER, the patients I'd saved, the family that had used me. The post went viral, shared by nurses, teachers, anyone who'd ever felt invisible. Team Ethan exploded, with strangers leaving comments like, "You're not alone, Ethan, keep fighting." But Ryan's camp hit back harder. A new blog post claimed I'd fabricated the threats for attention, calling me Portland's own drama queen. My parents sent individual texts for the first time. No group chat. "Ethan, let's talk." No pressure. I ignored them. Then Lauren showed up at my door, her face pale, her designer coat soaked. "Ethan?" she said, voice breaking. "Ryan knows about the recording. He's desperate. Vince is worse. He's got connections, dangerous ones. I found a ledger in Ryan's office. He's been laundering money through the gastropubs. My dad's handing it to the DA." I stared at her, the pieces clicking. The note, the threats, Ryan's crumbling empire. It was all connected. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. She looked down, tears mixing with the rain. "Because you didn't deserve what they did. And because I'm done being complicit." The next day, I got a call from Robert Whitaker. "Ethan," he said, his voice like gravel, "I've got evidence of Ryan's fraud. Millions in dirty money. I'm meeting the DA tomorrow, but you need to watch your back. Caruso's not playing games." I thanked him, my mind racing. That night, I booked a solo trip to New Zealand, a dream I'd shelved for years to bail out my family. It wasn't running, it was reclaiming my life. The climax came at 3 a.m. My phone woke me, an unknown number. I answered, heart pounding, a distorted voice. "Back off, or you're done." Before I could speak, my apartment's fire alarm blared. Smoke seeped under the door. I grabbed my laptop and the Cabernet, stumbling into the hall as neighbors screamed. The fire was small, contained to a trash chute, but the message was clear. "We can get to you." Firefighters cleared the building, but I knew this was no accident. The next morning, I stood on my balcony, the city waking below. My blog had hit 10,000 shares. The DA had opened a case against Ryan and Vince. Lauren was testifying. My parents' gastropubs were shuttering, their empire crumbling. Susan called, offering me a stake in her vineyard. "Your family, Ethan," she said, "the real kind." I smiled, tears stinging my eyes. The hospital cleared my name. The complaints were traced to a fake email linked to Vince. My license was safe. I looked at the Cabernet, still unopened, and laughed. I wasn't the guy by the restroom anymore. I was Ethan Caldwell, the nurse who'd stood up, fought back, and won. New Zealand was waiting, but so was something bigger, a life where I set the table. And as Portland's skyline glowed, I knew one thing for sure. I'd never sit in the shadows again.